Hi, this is Erin from BlossyB. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to continue working with the amazing moulds from the Resin Moulds Express Summer Magic August 2025 box. If you haven't yet watched part 1, where I unboxed the package and then used AR400 Eco Casting Compound to make 4 beautiful pieces, watch that first. I'll link it in the description box below. This is a thumbnail for the part 1 video, and I absolutely meant it, where I wrote a box filled with joy, love and much needed inspiration. You can see there a photograph of the box and all of the contents laid out. You not only get the moulds, you get an amazing instruction and inspirational guiding sheet and all of the accessories you'll need. And I made the gorgeous little butterfly trinket dish, the lily of the valley plate, the most darling little hedgehog planter, and of course the little owl, which is a nightlight, but it could also be the cutest ever little trinket dish. This first video used AR400 Eco Casting Powder because I wanted to see how some of the moulds looked in that. And then this video we're going to start using resin. And the first mould that I'm going to use is the beautiful Summer Serenade Cicada Specimen mould. I love the example that Ella shows in the instruction sheet, and so I decided to use my Harry and Wilma beautiful chameleon flakes. Now these are just a few of the ones that they stock, but they're the only ones I own, so I just wanted to use all of them. I thought, why not? I know it's only a small mould, but I was quite determined to get as much in there as I could. So I'm just using a soft brush to work the flakes into the silicone, and it's looking amazing, extremely shiny, very pretty, and I'm excited to see how this one turns out. I know that when you're using flakes like this, whatever touches the silicone first is the colour you're going to see, but I do go over everything in the end, just blending it all in together, just so I don't end up with any little blank spaces. I use a little bit of tape to clean up the edge, and then it's time to reset my workspace, ready for the next mould. And that mould is the Beachy Memories photo frame mould. Now, I've never seen a mould like this before. It comes in 3 parts, and this first part is the actual stand, like a little frame, and then it has the 2 pieces which are going to form the front and back of the piece that encases the photograph. So I decided I was going to use some beautiful temporary tattoos to decorate the outside edge of the stand. And so I'm going to go ahead and choose some. These are absolutely stunning. These are metallic temporary tattoos in a very Indian hot pink and gold theme. And so I'm just going to cut my pieces down to size, and then I make sure that I'm getting them into the right position. I'll take off the clear plastic cover, and then using a microfiber cloth I just damp that down, and then you'll just feel the slightest little movement when it's ready to come off, and then you can just remove that backing sheet. So I set that aside to dry, and then I mix up a batch of River Art Resin 2:1 deep pour epoxy, and I'm going to pour a layer in each of these parts of the frame mould, and I'm trying very hard to get it just to the top. I don't want to dome it. I want it filled very precisely, and I've made sure that the resin is crystal clear. This resin always is. It's a beautiful resin, and I'm just going to let it make its way around into the shapes, and then I'll figure out if I need to add a little bit more. Once I'm happy with how they look, I just get a lid of a container and prop it up on some paddle pop sticks and some paper cups on the other side, because I really don't want anything falling onto that. Now, with the resin that I've got here, I'm going to use some Solid Solutions pigments in Opal White and Dusty Rose, which is a pink colour. And I'm blending those two together. I'm looking for almost a baby pink, a very pale baby pink. And I was excited to use these mica powders, as I know they give a beautiful pearlescent luster finish. And I think that will look really pretty in behind the temporary tattoos, which are the pink and the gold. So I'm just going to pour that in very carefully, because it's the first time I've ever used a mould like this, and it's also prudent to see how how it goes in, and whether it moves down the channels easily. And yeah, it doesn't take much resin at all either, which is good. The silicone used for this mould is so lovely and soft. It's quite easy for me to just pull the walls down and make sure that there is resin all the way down. And then I just do a little quick clean up, pour the excess into a little cup, and then we are ready to start colouring the resin that we're going to use to fill the cicada. And so in this mystery box of moulds and goodies, you actually got 2 jars of pigment, and this one is fluorescent green. I don't think I've ever used a fluorescent pigment before, so I'm quite keen to see how it goes. Now, it's quite bright, and so I decided to add in some holographic black glitter, just to see if I can get a bit of an insect looking, like a chrysalis almost looking colour. And I'm really happy with how that turns out as well. And then I'm just going to fill that mould up. Now, it did quickly become obvious that the edges where the little feet are just a little bit, I think they could be a little bit thicker. And I also think that it's not so easy for the resin to run into them. So when you're making this mould, just be sure to drag the resin into its little feet, and don't just rely on it moving in there. And I did add some glue to this mixture, just so that I can keep everything suspended, the glitter suspended in there. Okay, once I've done that one, we're going to move on now to the charm moulds. So I get 2 little containers and pop in a little bit of clear resin into each. Now, the second container of mica powder that you are gifted in this set is this gorgeous yellow, and it is so pretty, so bright, and definitely very summery. And I mix that up, and then in the other little pot I mix up another little batch of the fluorescent green, but I won't add anything else to this one, just leave it that really pretty bright green. I've also got the leftover sort of pale pink, and I'm just going to add back into it a little bit more of that dusty rose, so I can make it a little bit more vibrant. So I've ended up with those 3 colours there, which is really lovely. So I'm just going to start pouring these in, just alternating them between the different little cavities in here. Of course, the beautiful yellow for that little shooting star. And then I'm going to make a couple of gorgeous pink unicorns. I'm going to try and mix a few colours for the rainbow. I'll just forward through this part because it's just mixing and matching different colours. I was also able to use just the teeny little bit of the Cicada background colour that I had left over as well, and then with the excess I just grabbed my breast cancer awareness moulds and I've used the pink in those, and then I've mixed the yellow and the green together and I've come up with this gorgeous bright green which I've just put in some little turtles and some hearts. And so 24 hours later it is time to demould. So I'll pop those two little breast cancer awareness ribbons into my collection for a future fundraiser. The little turtles, as always, turned out very pretty, as did the little hearts. But now the main attractions. The charm mould is so beautifully soft and squishy, really easy to demould. There's my little rainbow with clouds, super cute. And then I've got the little shooting star. And next up we've got the little potion bottle. And after that we've got one of the two unicorns, and here's the little seahorse, which is just a darling. And now these are the ears and horn, and I haven't set them correctly there, but that's to make a little unicorn face. We've got the reverse unicorn, and then the gorgeous mermaid tail, a little princess, and we're all done. Now time for the cicada, and it is so pretty, so pretty. Sadly, one of the little feet didn't make it, and remember I was saying that it was quite thin on those legs and you really had to make sure that you got the resin in, and so obviously I hadn't quite put enough in, but I'm so happy with how he looks. Next up is our photo frame, and through the silicone it's looking really pretty, but unfortunately when I demold it I can see quite quickly that the temporary tattoos have smudged. Now this has happened to me before. I showed you that in a previous video, and I think that it's either to do with me perhaps spraying alcohol, which I can't remember if I did or not, or perhaps it was not fully dry when I added the resin, but it's very sad because it's basically unusable. I'm going to set that aside, and I'll probably cannibalize it at some stage to put it through other projects. So that's a little pointer. I'm going to be making another one in a minute. Anyway, here are our clear frame pieces, and I have put gloves on for this because I want to make sure that I'm not getting any marks on them, and that they are staying smudge free if possible. And yeah, they're just perfect little pieces of clear resin, so super happy with them. I had a little play around with the pieces, seeing how they would fit in to the frame, if I was going to keep that frame. And yeah, so I wanted a redo on the cicada because I was upset with myself for not having a perfect little specimen. So here I'm using some really pretty chameleon powders, and these are from A1 Pigments, which is a company in Australia, and I'm just brushing those on very similar to how I did before. Now this time I'm going to fill this one with clear resin because I want an almost ethereal look. I want this gorgeous pale creature. Yeah, so we'll see see if that all comes to fruition. I also used a very light version of this powder on the little unicorn mould and the mermaid tail in the charms one. I'm really interested to see how they come out. And of course, while I'm in the do-over mode, let's have another go at this frame. Now, this time I decide I'm going to use an eco casting powder, the AR400, and I'm going to use some of the Anko gold flakes, and I'm just going to use a soft brush and get the teeniest little bit down inside that frame. I know that a lot of this will not adhere when I remove the cast piece. I expect quite a bit to be left behind, but I'm really only wanting to get the absolute tiniest hint of a fleck of gold here and there. I've used the same mathematical formula that I did in the previous video to work out how many grams of product I need. I'm using the Anko plaster dye in the rust colour, and I'm really wanting a pale cream, and so I add in the powdered AR400. It's a brilliant product because you just mix it with tap water in a 3:1 ratio. And then just to add a little bit more interest to the mixture, I pop in a couple of drops more of that pigment and just give it a rough stir and then pour it in. Yes, I did make a big boo-boo there, but it doesn't matter because when this product cures, which is in just 45 minutes, anything like that just peels off so beautifully and easily. So now it's time to mix up the resin, which is going to go into the Cicada number 2 and charms number 2, I guess. And I'm keeping this crystal clear. As I said, I'm just doing this because I wanted to see if I could get almost an ethereal look, just a really light, whimsical, magical appearance. I did have the teeniest little bit of resin left over, and I used that to pour the star. So, time to demould, and I'm really hoping that this second version of the frame works. So just the first version was resin and it looked fine apart from the temporary tattoos that I'd added had sort of smudged a bit. And then this one is made from an eco casting powder, and so it is absolutely exactly what I wanted. It is this gorgeous blush cream colour with just the most teeny tiny flecks of gold. I'm just showing you there is a slightly rough edge which I'm going to sand off. That'll be very easy to fix. I don't think I've seen anyone else yet make this frame in eco casting powder, and I'm pleased in a way that the resin one didn't work out because I love the idea of this. Okay, now while the other pieces are curing, I decide to have another little play with the gorgeous owl nightlight / trinket dish. And this time I'm going to use almost a clear resin. I'm just using the epoxy resin 2:1 ratio deep pour, and I'm going to add in a teeny little bit of sparkle, and I just want to see how this works. So this is the Just Resin Snow White, which is the most lush, soft, pearlescent, fine, glittery dust, and I'm Really hoping that this one turns out just as pretty as the one that I made with the eco casting powder. So 24 hours later, it is time to demould. And this is super exciting because I know what the actual mould turns out like, but I don't know what the colourings are going to turn out like. These unicorns and this mermaid tail are just so magical. They have just the most soft, colour changing deliciousness, and the clear was a great choice, I think, because it just highlights that colour so beautifully. Oh, will this cicada be pretty? I'm hoping so. So this is the one that I did in the softer colours, and I filled it with clear resin only, just to see if I could get something quite different from the other. And I'm hoping that this time I poured all of the little feet and legs correctly. And look at this. It is just dreamy. It is so soft and pearlescent and magical. I'm loving it. Now it's time to say hello to our dear little Mr. Owl. And first of all, I'm going to demould the base, or if you're using it as a nightlight, the back part. And I'm really hoping that it looks okay in the clear and sparkles. I don't know what to expect, but I'm fingers crossed it's going to be lovely. This one is a little bit difficult for my hands to demould, and I just wanted to make sure I'm treating it carefully. And it's beautiful. And here's the little top part. So the lid or the cover, depending on what you're using it for. And look at that. I can't wait to see this with a nightlight in it. And I think it would look equally pretty on my dressing table. I'm so happy with all of these pieces. It's now time to start assembling. So these are the two clear pieces of resin, but I'm showing you here that I've made a big mistake. So if you have this mould and you pour it, you'll notice that it's got the little pieces that fit together, and a couple of things happened. One, when I set it aside waiting for this point, when I was going to assemble it, I had it sitting near where the heat pump blows air out onto, and it did slightly warp. And the other is I was trying out sizes of pictures, and I put in a piece of paper that had some ink on it which somehow transferred. So don't do what I did. When you demould these pieces, please look after them. Now, that little trick I just showed you with the hairdryer is really, I think, very worthwhile. When you have resin that is a little bit out of shape or just needs a little bit of help doing, what you want to do, whether it's cured or not, applying heat like this will always help. And so I was able to just put that little bit of heat on it, and then it clipped together beautifully. Now you might be wondering who this absolutely gorgeous good girl is. This is Blossy, and Blossy is the namesake of BlossyB. She was a absolutely beautiful dog that I fostered through Brightside Farm Sanctuary, and she was just the most affectionate, loyal, calm, beautiful girl imaginable. And when I first started my little business, I was making bandanas for dogs, and of course my favourite dog at that time was Blossy, and so that's what I'm proudly putting in this frame to show it off, and I think she looks gorgeous. This is a brilliant frame. Can't wait to make the next one. Okay, so now it is time to put together some charms. These little ones I'm pointing to are a unicorn horn and ears, except I've lost one of the ears. I know it'll pop up as soon as I stop looking for it, but they're super cute. So if you wanted to make a unicorn face with the horn and the ears, that's what you've got. And this is the little drill bit set that the box came with, and this is me just trying to figure out fairly late at night how to open the packet, and it really was not that hard at all. So I choose a tiny little drill piece, and then I'm going to show you how to actually put it into the hand drill. So if you put it in like I'm doing now, the collar is too wide. So if you open it up, take it out and turn it around, you will find the smaller diameter piece. And when you screw this back on, your smaller drill bits will now go in there. I'm so impressed with all of the extra pieces that Ella includes in these sets. So it's very easy for me now to drill a hole in the top of the pieces that I would like to put the little eye pin in. And then I just grab a pair of pliers and put it in and turn it around. I do make it look very difficult. I'm very aware of that. I have some ongoing problems with my hands, my right one in particular, with osteoarthritis. So for most people, it wouldn't be this painful to watch. So you just screw that little pin in, and then that leaves you with a very secure little loop. She also supplies the jump rings to pop in, and then of course these key ring attachments. So in no time at all you end up with a really sweet little key ring. So very simple, very easy to do. I must say my experience so far with Resin Molds Express has been excellent. This kit is incredible. It's taken my creativity and my crafting mojo from 0 to 100, and I have so many ideas for more things that I want to make. And in fact, I've already started making things with the different molds in other colorways and different materials. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you too in the future. And I've got a discount code here you are very welcome to use. Just put in BlossyB at the checkout, and I've listed everything in the description box below. I really do encourage you to have a look at the Resin Molds Express website, because they have not only these subscription boxes, but they also have individual molds you can buy. And if you do buy these boxes, you can buy one box, just this box, for example, or you can go for something like a 6-month subscription. If you do that, I worked out in the last video that the price drops down to just over $50 Australian a month, and that, you know, $10 or $11 a week, and you get so much inspiration, support, all the little extra pieces. It's just amazing. Now I'm showing you here my last 2 top tips with this little handheld drill. One is that you can actually find 4 different collar sizes inside this drill, 2 in the top section and 2 in the bottom, so it covers the whole range of drill bits. And the second tip is, sometimes I find it easier if I use a pointy tool to actually mark a hole in the resin before I start drilling. It just means that I'm a little bit more accurate. The final charm pieces that I have there that I didn't turn into keychains, I'm actually going to attach magnets to those. I'm going to have a set of 2 of the pink unicorns, and then the other 2 are in 2 sets of 3. And here are our final items. There is the gorgeous Blossy, and I'm actually going to show a little bit of information about her and the business name right at the end of the video, just if you're interested. And the cicadas, the charm pieces, and of course the most darling little owl. I've got it set up there as a little trinket dish, but then in the next photo I'll also add in an inset photograph of it as the nightlight. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.